Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Pro Football Focus grades came up yesterday. I wrote a piece on it at louisianasports.net, and I thought they really accurately illustrated just what we saw on the field on Saturday. LSU's grades were really, really poor. I'll do this piece every single week, and a lot of times the high grades are in the high 70s and creeping into the 80s at times. The low grades generally hover in the 60s. And the lowest 5 grades here were all under 55, and a couple of them were glaring. And you look at the lowest graded player on LSU's team for the game on Saturday, and it's Whit, who'd been playing at an All-American level for the last couple of weeks. He had 18 tackles against Ole Miss. He made impactful play after impactful play against Arkansas, and he grades out at 42.9 in this game. He was a 36.7 against the run and a 33 in tackling. Weeks had 5 total tackles, and they credited him with 3 missed tackles. And then you look at Greg Penn at linebacker. He was the 3rd lowest graded player on LSU's entire team at 53.9, and that was propped up by some pass rush snaps. His run grade, Whit Weeks was 36.7. He was 37.6. So a point that that's your 2 linebackers. And that's not surprising considering the Texas A&M ran it all over LSU in the entire second half. But that is just not something I saw coming. You know, when I sit here, I try to take some pride in analyzing the sports that we talk about here and try to sound educated and give y'all some sound information and some reasonable opinions. And whenever I say something and it proves to be completely opposite, you know, I want to own up to that and talk about why. And I could not have envisioned Whit Weeks and Greg Penn looking completely lost in the second half. My bad on that, but it certainly did happen. I think another huge piece to this is on the offensive side of LSU's team. The 5 lowest graded players on the team on offense were offensive linemen. Will Campbell was the 2nd lowest graded player on LSU's roster on Saturday, 49.3. In the pass blocking game, he was a 58.1, and in the run blocking game, a 48. And it showed there was some pressure on Garrett Nussmeier. LSU couldn't run the ball. Paul Mabenga was put in when Garrett Dellinger went down, 53.9. DJ Chester, 55. Emory Jones, 56. Miles Frazier, 59. All of your offensive linemen across the board, including 1 sub, so 6 total, were under 60 grades in this game. And that's part of the reason you can't get a push offensively and run the ball. You've just got guys who aren't capable, more often than not, of getting a push against high-level defensive linemen. And I thought in watching the game, now y'all know I'm not doing these grades, and I couldn't even tell you how they come up with the grades. But in watching the game and understanding how good Texas A&M's defensive front is, I thought LSU did a great job of pass protection in the first half. You'd scored 17 points. Nussmeier hadn't been sacked. I thought you did a pretty good job. And Mike Elko told the sideline reporter, like, we got to affect him more on 3rd down. We're just not affecting him on 3rd downs. And that's Mike Elko's baby. He wants to get creative and bring pressure from different places, and he wants to show pressure and drop at times and bring surprise pressure. And none of that was getting home to Garrett Nussmeier. LSU was moving the ball. I mean, when you have 17 points scored and you've already missed 2 field goals, like, you're getting into scoring position. And LSU was doing that, but when the time came to try to run it in the second half and then to protect Nussmeier when you got behind, these grades reared their ugly heads. When you look at the highest grades on LSU's team, you've got JVR Suggs, who did a good job in pass rushing, got skinny and got into the hole. He graded an 88 because of his pass rushing grades that were so good. He had 21 snaps played. He rushed the passer 5 times, and in those 5 pass rushes, he had a sack and 2 other hurries. So 3 out of 5 pass rushes he affected the quarterback. That's pretty good. But beyond that, you're looking at Ashton Stamps and Zy Alexander, who both graded in the low 70s. And it didn't matter because A&M didn't throw the ball. Marcel Reed had 2 attempts. So you're not doing a lot if your corners are grading out well. Aaron Anderson graded a 70. Of course, he made the big play on the slant, catch and run for a big touchdown for LSU. And I think he's having a fantastic year, and he showed up in these rankings a couple times. Good to see his home run hitting ability there on that catch and run. And then Gio Paez was the 3rd highest rated player on the team, 71.5. But really a lot of that was on the pass rush where he graded 79.4. And again, Texas A&M didn't pass very much. LSU's pass rush was really good when Wigman's out there. And if Wigman finishes that game, LSU wins it comfortably by a couple of scores, and it's a different conversation. But he didn't. And LSU needed to stop the run, and Paez, whose grade was good for the day at 71.5, was only 60.9 against the run, which is, mediocre. It's not terrible, but it is mediocre. And so I think that these grades accurately reflect what we saw. LSU's biggest issues were at linebacker and the offensive line. Those showed up. LSU's best performances were in a couple of pass rush situations, and then the corners who never had to play. So if you want to see all these grades and kind of my explanation of how they shook out, you can head over to LouisianaSports.net. It's titled PFF Grades Reflect a Poor Showing for LSU at Texas A&M. Or you can follow me on Twitter at HuntPalmer88, and everything that I write up for LouisianaSports.net will be sent your way via Twitter eventually. So that's a look at Pro Football Focus's grades for LSU at Texas A&M. Bad stuff for the Tigers back on Saturday. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.